The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 198.
198.
What's our topic today?
This is the sense of entitlement. Yeah.
This is a good one.
This is a problem.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking about it. Yeah.
Cool. Well, before we get into it, anything you want to touch about from last week?
Yeah, so last week we did cord cutting, and I hope that some of you tried that and were hopefully successful with it. If you have tried it, you should send us a message. Let us know how it went for you.
Yeah.
During that episode at the beginning, when we answered questions, one of the questions that we had answered was from Katie about visualization, that she has a hard time visualizing things.
Yeah.
And so Crystal wrote this. She said, I can't visualize either. Found out I couldn't years ago in therapy. The doctor asked me to picture a red apple during a guided meditation, and I simply couldn't. She said a small percentage of the population just simply can't visualize, but then asked me if I could try to smell an apple and feel the texture of the apple. Immediately, I could remember the smell of an apple, feel the texture of the apple's waxy skin, and the sensation of the apple cutting into my gums as I took a bite and the juices running over my lips. That's how my memory works. I can't remember what my children looked like when they were babies, but I can remember the way their noses felt and the way their skin felt and their hair and how they smelled. The one thing I can visualize is eyes from people I know, and visualize people that I know and am close to, but I can't picture their faces if they're not right in front of me. Same with my animals, but I can remember what their fur feels like when the sun warms it up, or roughness of the dog's pads, or wetness of their nose. I have no clue why I'm like this. I just wanted to share.
That's pretty cool.
That's really interesting. And, while I was reading it, I was trying to imagine the same things. I don't know if you were doing that too. But like the smell of the apple and the way that it feels in your mouth. And I can do all of that. So, yeah, I totally understand. That's pretty cool.
But like just picturing an apple, like, I get it. Like I can't necessarily like on command just... But if it's like when they were talking about their children, I immediately saw a flash of Marina when she was real little.
Yeah.
And then I started, well, can I do that with my dad or my mom? And yeah, I can see them. But certain things, it's like, picture this wonderful waterfall scene.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can really,
Yeah.
I have to like be... Like art is a way for me to tap into that, but like sitting still and doing nothing.
Yeah.
I have a harder time with just picturing something like that.
Yeah, and all of those senses, like that goes along with your psychic senses too, because when you have a psychic vision, as a vision, you see it as like how you would picture something. So like randomly, something just flashes into your mind and you see it. But if you don't use that psychic sense, then you're not going to see those things. But you can still have the other ones, just like with the human senses. Smell, taste,
like
touch.
Somewhere that I've been and experienced or someone I know, I can picture that.
Yeah.
But just imagining some random location, like I can't.
I love to do like remote viewing, so I have fun with that. Like before we went to Hawaii, I was trying to picture the place in my head and the layout and everything, and I love to do that. It's lots of fun. But yeah, not everybody can do that.
No, I can't.
But if you can, it's
incredible.
Yeah, it's fun. So thank you for sharing that, Crystal. It was very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And then, let's see, we answer 2 questions every week. This first one is from Nancy. She says, I have a question that kind of related. I don't know what we were talking about. She said, and I wondered if other people thought this. Do our past loved ones or people have feelings of guilt, sadness, shame, remorse on the other side? Okay, so what she's saying is, do they feel guilt, sadness, shame, remorse on the other side? I'm just wondering if my father has sadness that I don't or didn't mourn when he passed. I was relieved actually because he was so miserable and unhappy and he just wanted to pull everyone down to his level. So they don't at all on the other side have any of those feelings. Like, you can feel what it felt like here to have those feelings, and I'm sure that they can produce emotions like if they're watching, the replay of their lives or whatever, but they don't sit there and go and feel sad.
No, it's like in this situation for what the example that she gave, they don't give a damn about that.
No.
Something in their own life, their own action or their own behavior, I don't think it's like a guilt or a regret as much as it is like in what you were saying in the review, you have an understanding.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you understand how you could have maybe done it better.
Yeah. But one of the ways that my mom has explained to us what it's like on the other side, and we've said this before, is that your best day here is your worst day there. So that kind of tells you how high the vibration is there. Like, they're always happy. It's not it's not sadness. It's happy. It's positive. If it was less than that, it would be here. This is where all of that stuff is. So I try and explain that to my clients when they have those feelings, about their loved ones that have passed away, that did they go with all of these sad emotions? And I try and explain, no. They're not there with all those things. It all makes sense when we get there. And they know everything too. So like, even if you had things that you didn't say, or like if there was a particular reason why, you felt, Nancy, like you didn't grieve your father, he knows all of that. He's not like guessing. We sit here and we try and imagine, why do people feel the way that they do about us and about situations? But up there, they just know. Or here. I mean, it really is here, not up there. But,
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that once you go there, you're completely engulfed in love and understanding and protection.
Yes.
And so there is no necessity for those feelings.
Yeah.
And everything is sort of, I guess on some level, maybe this is more between you, yourself, and maybe your spirit guides, is just like a better understanding, and not gosh, there was a particular word I was looking for.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah. It's like there's a not understanding. It's a particular transparency. Like you understand. There's no need to hide behind guilt and shame and anger and all this. We understand we're all there to learn.
Yep, exactly.
And so we actually consult one another
Yep.
with these issues instead of hiding it with the guilt and the shame and and all this.
That's all a part of the ego.
Yeah.
And the other side is egoless. So yeah. So none of that there. So
Yep.
So hope that answers your question, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy.
And then the next one is actually a question from one of my clients, and I didn't ask to use his name, so I'm not going to. But I wanted to get into this question because I do get asked this a lot, and I think it's important to talk about. He asked, does a psychic medium, spiritual healer, have the power to cause harm to someone? He got, what it sounded like is he got a message from somebody claiming to be a psychic and saying, you need to give me money, and literally threatening him if he didn't give them money. And
like they're going to come and get him?
Yes. He said, I'm being threatened by the lady. She says she's going to kill my family if I don't pay her money. There is some really sick people out there.
Yeah.
And they prey on people that have this kind of fear that somebody is going to do something, especially people that believe that there's such thing as curses or demons, evil spirits. People like this, they will tell you, you have a curse on you and I have to remove it for you. And I can do that. And you just have to pay me, X amount of money. And if you don't pay me, you're going to be cursed. I've heard it all of it. A real psychic will not reach out to you for a reading. They will not try and get money out of you. We are here to help. If you want a private reading, then you pay for one. But we're not going to try and, squeeze money out of you. That's just not how it works with somebody that is doing this for the right reasons. But there are a lot of people that will tell you that you have curses and demons and evil spirits, and please don't believe them. It's all lies. It's all to try and get you to pay them, and people will.
It reeks of scam.
Yes, absolutely.
I would just laugh and go about it and go on my day with my day. It doesn't.
Yeah, no, definitely.
This person is not going to hunt you down because you didn't give them whatever they're asking for a reading.
Right.
So it's not like a ransom note that says, pay me $1 million or I'll kill your family. It's saying, you have to get a reading from me.
Yeah, or I'm going to kill you.
Maybe their reading at top dollar could be $400 an hour or something at most, I would think. And that's for a really, really good psychic.
Yeah.
That doesn't really need to hunt you down and threaten your family.
Yeah.
So you're being scammed.
Yeah.
Fear is the great controller.
It is. It really is. I see it so much. Even like on Instagram, for me, I get messages all the time under my business account, even, oh, I was drawn to you, let me read for you or something. And it's just the same scam. You get it all the time. It's no, none of this stuff is real. You'll know a real psychic. They will prove to you that they are real within a very short period of time.
Right.
So if you ever come across these types of situations, please just brush it off. It's, one of the things I said to him was, think about this logically. How would this person hurt you even from a distance? Because he was worried, could this person hurt me from a distance? And I said, a spiritual healer would not want to hurt you. And no, the only way that somebody can hurt you from a distance is if you allow them to do it mentally. Right. If you live in this fear, then they are achieving what they were trying to achieve.
If it's a reality for you, like this person's actually doing this, then you're going to start to think and equate certain events to this.
Yeah.
And that's not the case.
You can
just like null and void it.
Yeah.
It's not relevant.
You can convince yourself that you're cursed too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that happens to a lot of people, that they get inside their own heads and believe these things. And so then they walk around thinking that they're cursed and everything goes wrong. But you know what that is? That's the law of attraction. Yeah. And if you think that bad things are going to come to you, then it's very possible.
Yeah, just because we all kind of walk the same planet doesn't mean we all live in the same reality.
Oh, absolutely. No, we definitely don't. So, yeah. So if you ever come across something like that, please just let it go. Don't even answer the person. Just block them and let it go.
Yeah.
So, yep. So, yeah. Okay. Then let's move on. Every week I do a reading. So we have a listener, Shannon, who I've done readings for on the show before. She actually posted for a reading in the group. And I thought, you know what? I want to do this on the show because we have talked about her animals a lot. She has one dog that used to be food aggressive and aggressive with like getting into the trash and stuff and go after the other dogs. And I was able to help with that dog so that dog doesn't do that anymore.
Right.
And then when she went to adopt another dog, that we talked about that on the show as well. And that adoption didn't come through, but this one did. The one that we're going to talk about today. So Shannon says, let's see, where does this start? This is Zola. We got her from a rescue back in November, and she is very skittish. She has come a long way, though. Today we practiced walking on a leash. She was terrified. This is her as soon as we came back in, the picture that she sent. And you can see that she looks,
What kind of dog is that?
She's a mix of some kind. I can't remember. She came from a rescue.
Is that a big dog?
Oh yeah, she's big. Yeah, she's a big dog. Medium size probably.
Yeah.
Let's see, where was I? This was her. She wouldn't come back to me or take a treat from me. Is she mad at me? Could you please explain to her that she has nothing to be scared of, that I'm doing this for her own good? I would love to take her on walks and over to my mom's house so she can run in her big backyard with all of her fur siblings. Thank you. So let's talk to Zola. I had, when she posted this in the group, like typically if you go to request a reading in my group, it'll probably sit there to wait to be approved for a couple of days because I release a few of them at a time. I don't release them all at once. Yeah. So this one sat there for a couple of days before I approved it. So I asked her, I said, I'm feeling like Zola feels better. Like this isn't what's going on. She's like, oh yeah, she's over that. But it's still going to be a situation the next time that she wants to take her out. So she's very shy and very unsure of the world around her still. She's still kind of settling in. I feel like the time that she had before she came to you was in a lot of ways traumatizing to her. And she is trying to learn from the other dogs, but that confuses her sometimes. And I can understand that because Shannon has quite a few dogs. And so she's probably picking up different things from different dogs and doesn't know which one she's supposed to emulate. And, it's kind of what it feels like. But she's learning and she's growing. As she gets older, she will become less and less skittish. But she has a lot of issues with noise. Her ears are extremely sensitive. Her ears are down in this picture, so I'm going to assume that they don't normally stand up, but they might. Either way, her ears are really sensitive, and so I feel like when she goes out and she hears a lot of traffic and things, that it really can upset her. She doesn't understand where all of these noises are coming from, and it's kind of like simulation, overload of your, senses. So she wants to go for these walks. She wants to go out with you and do these things, but she is scared. A couple of things that I will suggest is that if you give your dog CBD or hemp oil, I would maybe administer some of that before trying to take her out the next time. Also just doing short little intervals, like taking her, just a little ways down, and bringing her back and then, yay, you did so good, praise, 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 let her know that she's doing well. But of course, the one thing that I love to do is when you guys message me and say, I'm going to do this right now, so will you tell her what is going to happen?
Right.
And that is the number one way that we solve these problems, is for me to be able to tell them, you're going to do this. Because when they don't know what is going on, it's very, it's hard on them. Just like it would be on us. If we just all of a sudden had somebody put a leash on us and was like, come on, let's go. Where are we going?
Right.
And they don't tell us where we're going. It's going to be very stressful. So I can tell them what's going to happen, and then that usually helps to get rid of some of these things. But she's not mad at you. It has nothing to do with you. She's just really trying to still come into herself and to grow, and she's still a puppy and has a lot of these kind of puppy angst. But I would try the CBD because that will help to really take it takes the edge off. This morning Betty was like running around, wouldn't relax, and following me everywhere that I was going, and I wanted to go get coffee, and I was like, no, she needs to calm down. I gave her some CBD drops and she fell asleep like 5 minutes later. And it's not about the sleeping, it's just about that it relaxes them. Whatever it is that has them anxious and uptight, that the hemp oil brings them back down and relaxes them.
Yeah.
So if you don't use that, or for anyone that's listening that doesn't use it, I would give it a try. You can find hemp oil on Amazon. It's not illegal. It's not, in these states. It's because it's not actually made from THC. It's hemp oil.
No.
So
There's no THC in it.
no, so you can get it on Amazon or anywhere. So that would be a few suggestions that I have. She loves you very much, and there's one of the big dogs in particular that she really looks up to and loves, and I feel like she follows that one around, and so maybe too I can talk to that one and say, you're being watched. And so you're kind of being the alpha here and teaching this one of how to act in the house. That was something that I told Betty all the time, was if you don't know how to act, just watch the other dogs and they'll teach you how to act. Because, a new dog comes in the home and they really don't have the slightest clue. So, but I think that she's going to grow up to be a really amazing dog for you.
Yeah, she looks sweet.
Yeah, she does for sure. So there you go, Shannon. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
for
Shannon.
you and Zola.
And Zola.
Yep.
I like that name.
I do too. It's cool. So let's give our info.
Okay.
I wanted to do something that I thought was kind of cool. So we're on episode 198. So in 2 episodes, we are episode 200.
Mm-hmm.
And on episode 200, I'd like to give away a free reading.
Oh my God.
So if you would like to enter for this free reading, here's your chance. All you have to do is send me an email and say, I want to enter for the free reading.
Cool.
That's all you have to do. And then I'll put all of the names on a piece of paper, and then I'll have you draw one on the 200th episode. How's that?
That's cool. Good
Okay.
idea. That's nice of you.
Yeah. I love to do it. So, yeah. All right, so we'll do that. And then if you'd like to find me, you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. I have a radio show that airs every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on VoiceAmerica.com on the Empowerment Channel called Beyond the Bridge. You can find the link for that on the website as well.
Great.
And you, sir?
For my art, djonesartcollection.com. For the web, at djonesartcollection. For Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Yay.
That's it for me.
Fabulous.
All right, then. Episode 198, The Sense of Entitlement.
I can't believe we haven't done this episode already. Like, when it came to me the other day, I was like, really? We haven't done this? Because it's like now in the spiritual journey, it makes so much sense. But honestly, before I went into it, like I didn't really get this whole thing. And now it really makes sense that this is a big part of what's going on with society is the sense of entitlement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, what is it? What is a sense of entitlement? Well, it's a personality trait based on the belief that someone deserves special treatment or recognition for something that they didn't earn. People with this mindset believe that the world owes them without ever giving anything in return. Having a sense of entitlement can easily be mistaken as natural and even healthy. But the truth is, having a sense of entitlement is a cancerous form of self-love because it often harms the people around us, which indirectly harms us in the long term. One of the rules that I live by in my life is hurt no one. That wasn't the case before the spiritual awakening, but now the more that the other side works with me and I learn, the more I realize that with everything that we do, we're supposed to take the other people around us into consideration.
Right.
Even down to, and this has happened to us a few times this week, and this one just hit me, talking on your cell phone when you are out having a meal, or like, we've had a couple of times where people are like watching videos really, really loud while they're eating. Well, our phones make a really like horrible sound when you have them turned up that loud.
Yeah. And
it's hard for people to be comfortable. But that person watching that or talking on the phone, they're not thinking about the other people around them. They're just thinking about that they want to be on the phone. That's a sense of entitlement.
Right.
That is right. They're thinking that for whatever reason, you're better than, the rest of the people.
That's a great example. I mean, we see it all the time on the road.
Oh, that's the number one.
Why a lot of people drive,
Yeah.
What that one viral video on TikTok of the lady slamming the cheeseburger down.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
Like, come on. I mean, really?
Yeah, if you didn't see that, this lady is waiting for a manager at McDonald's, and she has a cheeseburger in her hand. It was a pretty big one, and she starts yelling at the manager about them putting ketchup on her burger, and that too much ketchup, yeah, and that she's on a diet, and this is her special meal, and how dare they? And she slams the cheeseburger down, and oh my gosh, it's just ridiculous. Yeah. What gives you the right to treat people like that?
And this person went back on TikTok and addressed the video.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
But still act entitled.
Yeah.
I thought their response still act entitled.
The lady didn't see that she did anything wrong.
No, she didn't regret it.
And that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think one of the problems with entitlement is that when other people act like that, then we think that it's okay to act like that. I lived in Las Vegas for a long time, and one of the really bad habits that I picked up in Las Vegas, but have broken, is when people want to get over and they turn their blinker on and you speed up so that they can't get over. This was one of the first things I noticed when I moved to Las Vegas is everybody looks at the blinker as something bad, as something, I'm not going to let you do this. Why did they do that? And I didn't even realize that I picked up that bad habit. What? I don't understand.
Right.
Like, why do we do this?
Yeah. That doesn't happen just in Vegas, but...
Oh, no, I know, but I didn't notice that so much here. Yeah. It was something, but now I do. Now I notice the drivers just unbelievable. That is probably... Yeah, my top complaint when it comes to entitlement.
My road, my lane.
Yes, exactly. I'll go as fast
highway.
as I want.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'll talk on my phone if I want to, or I'll drive as slow as I want to.
The people that zigzag through traffic at 90 miles an hour.
Gosh.
That's entitlement and you're risking not only your own life but everybody around you.
Yeah. The driving is something that the other side worked with me a lot on, and it's because they're in my head all the time. So it would be like if I would do something driving that wasn't the right way, I would hear the right way, how you're supposed to handle it. So it's about being safe, but it's also about letting go of that entitlement. It's also about allowing the other people around you, even if they don't play by the same rules.
Right.
It's allowing you are not taking away their safety. You're not putting them in an unsafe situation. My car that I bought shortly after the spiritual awakening has something fabulous in it, where when you're driving, if you're too close to somebody in front of you, it shows you that if they were to slam on their brakes right now, you would hit them. And that has really taught me to stay a far distance away from people instead of being right on top of them. It's like we just need to, when we're driving, just think about the safety of it, the other people, and what are we doing? Why are we rushing? Like, just relax, you know? Everything's going to go the way it's supposed to go, so just relax. But, yeah.
That initial quote about it being cancer in society, it couldn't be more true. It's the more this is interjected into society, I think the further away we get away from our true essence of being like spiritual beings of, you know? I think the only time we don't see that is when a natural catastrophe happens.
Yeah, or something like September 11th, you know, things like that. But yeah,
or a man-made catastrophe.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that, for sure. And even then sometimes, but... so here's some more things about the sense of entitlement. A person with a sense of entitlement has a self-absorbed view of the world with little regard or empathy for their impact on others. It's an extreme form, a sense of entitlement. At its extreme form, a sense of entitlement may be a part of a personality disorder. So narcissist, this is definitely something.
Egocentric.
Antisocial personality disorder. Yes, the ego is what causes this. So absolutely the egocentric people. A person that has a sense of entitlement may come across as having extreme self-confidence. They may seem to love themselves very much, you know, or believe that they should benefit from any given situation. Right. When someone with a sense of entitlement doesn't get what they want, it's not uncommon for them to like lash out at others in anger or frustration. Right. Their personality and behavior fluctuates often. Anger is really like the telltale sign of entitlement. That's where it really stems from. People with entitlement issues tend to get angry very easy. A couple of the examples that I saw were, do you get angry because someone or something isn't making your life easier? Things aren't working out the way you believe you deserved or expected, or did you choose to learn and pursue understanding of how you can change because of the situation? When you're going with the, you know, everything didn't work out the way you wanted, and so you're angry about it. Well, that's, again, a sense of entitlement. Right. We are not here on this earth to just skate along like, you know, a flat road. This is a roller coaster, and you're always going to have those moments where things are not going to go your way. Right. And they're not supposed to, because if they did, it would be heaven. If everything went your way, it would be heaven. Yeah. This is something that we all have in common, is that we all face struggles. And it really is when you look at them and go, I'm human and I'm going to face these things, instead of, why did this happen to me? Right. You know, I can't believe that all these things continue to happen to me. Well, okay, but they happen to everybody. Everybody has their struggles. It's just that we have different struggles.
Everybody has faced this issue in their life. Yeah. And probably reacted wrongly in some way, you know? Everybody's guilty of it. It's part of this lesson that we have to learn about, you know, the difference between ourselves and others. Yeah. And so being faced with, I mean, something as simple as, and I've done this, you go into a restaurant, you happen to notice that the people that got sat after you got their food before you.
Right, yeah.
This is like an episode of Seinfeld or something, you know? And you're like, hey, what happened? You know, well... It could have very well been what they ordered. Right. You know, did they order a salad and you ordered a steak? Yeah. You know, so there's a multitude of reasons why. But your first reaction is, hey. Yep. I was here first.
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've all been
Or someone cutting in line, you know, like, and somebody making a huge deal, you know.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely am not perfect in this area. And looking back now, realize that my sense of entitlement was definitely very strong. I do know why. And we'll get into that later, that there are reasons. Well, actually, we can get into it now. What causes entitlement? Well, being a spoiled child, number one, causes entitlement. And I think that that's where a lot of my entitlement came from, was that I was always, you know, I got what I wanted. And it wasn't that I was like, you know, bad and like, you know, acted out and so I got my way. It was just that I came from a wealthy family, so I didn't have to like need for anything.
Right.
And so always having that, it makes you feel entitled. And it's something that I had to break in a lot of ways, you know.
But, I'm sure there's a story in this history of this world of somebody, and more than one somebody, that was extremely poor, that never had anything. And that was their reason for entitlement.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm going to take this. I'm going to steal this. I'm going to rob you of this because I didn't get to have these things.
Yes.
And damn it, I'm going to have them now.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's just whatever your story is, no matter whether you're rich or poor, you're going to have to face this.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. A lot of times if we do bad things or we do wrong things, we like continue on that cycle. It's very strange the way that works. But then there's also personality disorders, and we talked about that a little bit. And even times like people that have depression, they can, have these moments too, where it's like, again, why is this happening to me? All the bad things happen to me,
Right.
No, they happen to everybody,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
And that's another example that was on here too, is when you face obstacles, stress, and pressure, do you become mad or resentful, or do you choose humility? Again, and that's an area where even for me now, like when I feel myself getting stressed and all that, I have to realize this is me inside of me, and I don't want to ruin, other people's what's going on. And so I'm not saying to hide things. I'm just saying that sometimes, it can come off as very egocentric.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about yourself all the time and not asking the other person how they're doing, those types of things. If you find yourself doing those, then that goes along with this.
Sure does.
Yeah. So let's see. I asked our listeners a few poll questions this week. Let's see. Well, I asked them, what things tell you that someone may have a sense of entitlement? Hillary said, someone always being right and you can't change their mind in any way. Being a girl and a welder, I see a ton of that, and it was so interesting to me. I'll listen to what anyone has to say and just take what I want from that situation. Yes, not everyone you run into has good info, but there might be one thing that you can take away. Absolutely. Yeah. You can learn from everybody. Yeah. And I didn't even think about that as being a sense of entitlement, but she's right on about that.
I'm sure being a female and a welder, she's faced a lot of,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yep.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Harassment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chauvinistic
absolutely.
kind of attitudes.
Yes, I faced that too. I worked in a restaurant for a while and was bored as hostessing, and you couldn't be a server in Vegas till you were 21. So I asked to work in the back, and the boys didn't want me working in the back. And so they did all kinds of things to make me not work back there. It's just you guys, right? You guys are just entitled to be here, not me. I can't learn this. And, yeah, I can understand that.
And to a lot of us, those that act that way may look like they get everything, they want in the time they want it. But that's not. Each one of us in our journey will have to face that.
Yes.
And answer to being selfish and acting entitled.
Yeah, absolutely. Diana said, putting in less effort, but expecting the same, if not more. Absolutely. That is one way, like working on group projects or whatever. And, you have one person that does the majority of the work, but you still want the same amount of recognition or whatever. This happens all the time, especially in work environments. Paul said, a huge ego usually accompanies someone with a sense of entitlement. Absolutely, it does. They do go hand in hand. Patricia said, when you have several kids and one is hardworking, respectful, and helpful to everyone, then you have one who is manipulative, lazy, and disrespectful, says you did it for her, why can't you do it for me? You are favoring the first kid because she's a suck-up, and I'm the oldest and should get extra privileges. I think that happens a lot in families. The kids want to be treated equally, and I can understand that, especially if they're younger, but Patricia's kids are older, so, she definitely has some issues with them. So, she said also, hopefully as she ages, she grows out of that, for sure. Amy said the way you speak to people. Absolutely. If
Yeah.
you go into a restaurant and you treat a server with any less respect than you would expect for yourself,
Right.
come on. Or any type of job. But that is one that I go to immediately because I feel like people are usually, like that. It's
I just try to be kind. And I noticed, like, today when we went out, excuse me, we went to a place that we frequent, and just getting to know people and seeing them, but just being friendly and saying hi to them, even like, let's say, I don't sit in their section.
Yeah.
But I happen to see them. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
So like today, that waiter was like, hey, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, we weren't.
Or that manager that was there, we didn't talk to him today, but he'll usually go out of his way just to come to our table and say, can I get you anything?
Yeah.
And that was just by being friendly.
Yeah.
And being nice,
How do you want to be remembered? That's
Right.
something for me is that when I leave that restaurant, I don't want them to go, man, that
I hope
woman
they don't
was
come
a
back.
bitch. Yeah, exactly. I do not want that.
Yeah.
I want to leave people with a good feeling and that brightens their day. Like, why do you want to drag people down? People that don't leave tips and write stupid messages on the bill, like, whatever. It's just, it's really sad. Let me go back to what the others said. Okay. Amy said, I think of individuals with a high sense of entitlement as those who have no issues wasting others' time. That there's no one person or situation more important than what they are doing, just a lack of consideration for others. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes. People that are late for appointments. I have a lady that cuts my hair, and she's every single time she's late. And it's not because she's working on somebody else. She literally is not there yet. And she said to me before, I was getting coffee, or, I was at lunch, or, I was this. And it's like, but I was here on time.
Right.
Why is your time more important than mine? Or even with a doctor's office or whatever, they take your time. But if you're 5 minutes late, everybody should respect everybody's time. Nobody's time is more important than anybody else's.
No.
Go back here. Okay, then Brittany said, in a nutshell, the victim mentality. They seem to feel they are always owed. I think ego plays a huge role in this. Yeah, for sure, the victim mentality. Nancy said, someone who always gets their way no matter the circumstances, and they expect that everyone gives them what they want. The rules or laws don't apply to them, and they have no issue making up rules or laws that benefit them, like Congress. Yeah. This is an area that I will be honest that I struggled in, that I don't know why that was, but I'm going to tell a story, and it doesn't make me look good, but I think it's important that people know I'm not perfect.
No, none of us are.
No, I started a business at Disneyland where I was doing tours, and one of the ways that I got people through their tours is I used a handicap pass, and I feel so bad about it. I had a handicap pass, and I would just use it for other people, Right. At the time, I didn't see anything wrong with it. At the time, I just saw it as, I just want to get through here and help people and whatever. But now I look at it and I go, that wasn't really fair to the other people that were waiting in line, and I do guilt over it. But I didn't at the time see anything wrong with it. I even had a friend of a friend who didn't like me specifically because that's what I was doing.
I was going to kind of share that as an example to this list of people that we're sharing, is that someone that may not be in a good place in their own life, feeling either inadequate or insufficient in what they can offer or provide, may give you that feeling of because for some reason they didn't learn how to just maybe pay someone a compliment and say, I really respect you and what you're doing.
Right.
And appreciate what you're doing. They'll make it more of a fight. Mm-hmm. Like, why don't I get that?
Yes.
Why can't I do this? Like, I had that experience a lot, especially playing music, because you're dealing with a group of people, all different personalities, different lives, different schedules, everything. Mm-hmm. And, I had issues where, people would show up inebriated to a point of you are worthless in this. And I've put put aside time to have a recording session, and my time is completely wasted.
Yeah.
Yet it's kind of turned around as, but I'm entitled. I want the same role.
Yeah.
And for instance, I'm more of kind of a leader in that situation. I don't just appoint myself. I kind of assume it when I see no one else wants to do it.
Yeah.
Then I kind of go, okay, I'll try to guide this in the experience that I have the best way I know how. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you'll come up against resistance in that, especially if you are doing some sort of leadership role.
Yeah.
And so, and having other good members like coming and saying, I want a job. What can my job be?
Yeah.
Well, starts with, learn the songs, know your parts, be on time,
Yeah.
Let's be a band. That there's a meaning of that word. You have to band together,
Yeah.
So that can be frustrating when someone wants to throw out that against you.
Yeah.
And you just have to deflect that,
Yeah.
It's not like you're telling yourself you're entitled to something. You're just doing your thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Here's another example. This is one that I read online. Lori and Amber are best friends. When Lori doesn't respond to one of Amber's texts within half an hour, Amber blocks her and doesn't talk to her for the next week. Amber argues with Lori, accusing her of not caring or forgetting about her. Oy vey.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that take it, and I did it, so I'm not...
I've done it.
I've done it in the past a lot. This person didn't text me right back. There must be something wrong. I must have done something. You jump to conclusions. Now I'm on the other side of things where I literally forget to text people back, and I feel bad because I forget. But we have to stop taking all of these things personally because we're not in that other person's brain. Mm-mm. We're not in their life. We don't know what they're doing. I have women that will be like that. Oh, my boyfriend is at work and he's not texting me back. He's at work.
Right.
He's at work. Like, he's not cheating on you. He's at work.
Yeah. There's going to be rent due.
Yeah. But again, I've done it. And I think that is another example of trying to take somebody's time, Actually, I have one that I want to read here that I forgot about and I wasn't necessarily planning to read. But one of the examples here that came up was from a client of mine, Shauna. And Shauna has a good example of entitlement, and this is something that I think is important for people that use services in general, okay? So Shauna says, so my view of entitlement is that it can happen in many different ways, and sometimes people don't realize that they are acting entitled. Some people, it's legit how they are raised. They don't realize that it's not really a good thing to be when it comes to society. That's literally all they know because that's what they were taught. There are some people who just don't realize that they're being that way based on their traumas. You called me out on it, meaning me, because I had to call Shauna out on the fact that she was taking up a lot of my time. And we've talked about this, so I know she's okay with me talking about this.
Right.
But I love you, Shauna, but I would wake up in the morning and there would be 20 minutes worth of voice memos in the morning about how her day was going, and she would be in a bad mood and crying and all this stuff. And so I had to talk to her about it. It just, I got to the point where I did. And she said, I didn't see it until later how I was acting entitled, which is funny because around that time I had even asked you if you had made a podcast about people acting entitled, and there I was doing it. Sometimes it takes a lesson for someone to learn. I feel like most people, if aware and if they weren't complete jerks, would change their ways for the better. My sense of entitlement came from trauma, not going into it, but I am doing shadow work to work on it. And I really appreciated that message from her. And,
That took a lot of courage.
It did.
And love to do that. I respect that.
I do too, because it's hard to have those conversations with people, and it was really hard for me to address the situation. But along my spiritual journey and in my growth, and I'm sure for a lot of you as well, you're faced with uncomfortable situations that the universe wants to see. How are you going to deal with them? Yeah. Are you going to put boundaries that are healthy for you while not being a jerk? And that's what I've tried to do. And it's not always easy, but I feel like these are all tests from the universe, and that Shauna was a part of the learning lesson for me of there's going to be people that are going to do this, that they're not going to understand that, this is your job and blah, blah, blah. And from the beginning, we were told that.
Yeah. And, it's an innocent mistake, even on
Yes.
Shauna's part. To a degree, it's an innocent mistake because we don't really live each other's lives. So we don't know, the level of busyness going on and what's happening in day to day.
Yeah.
So people, like in your situation, you have an amazing gift and it draws people in because you're doing the universe's light work. It's a wonderful thing. So it's kind of like moths to a flame.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that because you're providing something and helping people live a happier, more peaceful life. What they may not understand is that like them, like Shauna, or example, somebody else, you have multiple people
Yes.
that are reaching out to you on a daily basis. So if you wake up to somebody sending you 10 voice messages, well, times 10.
Yeah.
And realize, whoa, you just got up, and the level of kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like it can put anxiety on you
yeah.
if you allow it.
Yes.
It can become overwhelming. And because I know you, and you're such a giver that you want to cross all your T's and dot all your I's, and you want to get to everybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes in a timely manner. And sometimes that's just not possible.
Right.
It's just not, because our lives, dogs, kids,
Yeah.
house, whatever,
Yes.
floods, fires,
Shush.
I don't know. Anyways, but so it is innocent because I couldn't put myself in her shoes necessarily to understand what her life is like and what her time frame is to be able to talk to somebody in her day, So maybe she's trying to get all this out
Sure.
in a free moment, or when she's not available, maybe she's got kids and they're running around, so she can't do it then. But you said something earlier that really hit me, that I felt like really the cure to this disease of entitlement is practicing humility.
It is.
Humility means we're not putting ourselves first,
Yep.
our own needs and desires. We're sort of kind of stepping in line and waiting our turn in line. We're not acting like we know it all.
Yep.
We're trying to learn from every experience that we encounter.
Yep. Yep.
Can we put boundaries up? Yes. Can we express our own thoughts and opinions? Yes. But there is a point, and I don't even think it's a fine line. I think it's a very definitive line. When you're being an entitled a-hole,
Yeah.
or you're being a humble human being.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious where that line is.
Yes.
And we all know when we cross it, whether we admit it to someone else or ourselves or not. We know.
It comes down to this with not just the psychic profession. I know that a lot of people, it's cool to know a psychic and all of that, but this is also happens in a lot of other industries, in the entertainment industry specifically, that people think that they should be able to have access to celebrities and their lives are none of their business.
No.
And I wish that we could apply that to that kind of work too, that just because you see somebody in the movies or you like their music does not mean that it's okay for you to run up to them in public and ask them for an autograph or a picture or whatever. We live in Southern California, and so I see a lot on TMZ and on other things about the stuff that goes on here. And it's really sad how you can't even go around LAX. There's always paparazzi there. Let them go on with their lives. Yeah. We saw Gordon Ramsay at LAX, and he had this huge entourage behind him, and everybody's staring at him. Oh, look, Gordon Ramsay. I mean, I was one of them, look, Gordon Ramsay. But privacy, right. They should be entitled to privacy. And for whatever reason, society believes that they're not entitled to that. And that we
can
have
all
something
look
to say.
over and, oh, hey, there's Gordon, but we don't need to flock him.
Right, totally. Gordon, no. Mm-mm. But if we all, like you're saying, lived by these simple rules, it would really change the way that society works. It would change the way that we feel about each other, about ourselves, instead of thinking that we're more important than the next guy. Right. Even down to things like leaving the grocery store and you have the toilet paper on the bottom of the cart and you realize it's there and you didn't pay for it.
Right.
Take it back in. You're not entitled to that toilet paper on the bottom of your cart. You're just not. And I'll tell you that when you live your life like that, the universe loves that. It loves to see people treat other people that way, and you'll reap the rewards for it. You will. And even if you didn't, you will feel better. I feel better as a person now that I see all of this, and I really try to change my ways. But then when I do something wrong, I get really, really mad at myself. It's like, but yeah, if we would just all,
it's trying to. I mean, the universe has been trying to tell us forever, and I think even through disasters that happen, it shows us that if we could do this, on a society or a global scale, this could change literally the planet. Like, it would not be a planet of countries and races. It would be a planet of humans.
Yeah. And
that look out for each other. They don't act like mine.
Yeah. And not every single person has to change. You've shared before, I think that's 1% of the population can help to really put a change to things. So if everybody listening to this right now went out and made some simple changes, it really would make a difference as far as the next guy goes, because you're treating people with kindness. And when you treat people with kindness, they want to treat people with kindness. Right. When I see somebody that wants to get over in front of me and they got their blinker on, I let them go. Why? Because I hope that they will do the same for somebody else, which will maybe cause less accidents and will make that other person happier. Because I know when somebody lets me over, I'm like, gee, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. Instead of trying to, your time is more important than my time, because it's not. We're all equal.
Yeah.
I don't know where
There's
that
a great
came from.
Beatles song, George Harrison, I, Me, Mine.
Yeah.
It just says it all about this topic.
I think that one of the reasons that people have a hard time with this too is because it means that you have to take accountability for your own actions, and you have to accept that you make mistakes and you're not perfect. And that right there is ego. Yep. It's hard to accept that you make mistakes and that you're not perfect. But at the same time, it feels really good when you realize that you recognize that and you take into accountability that I didn't handle that situation well, or I should have been nicer to that person.
That's practicing humility.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it does feel good. So I think we should challenge everyone this week to go out and do that. Whenever you feel that little itch of I'm entitled to this, whether it's, you're at the grocery store and the person in front of you is, writing a check and it's taking forever and you're like, I got time for this. Relax. Okay?
Yeah.
Because in these situations, too, a lot of the time the universe is just trying to slow you down. It's about patience as well as ego. So, yeah. So let's try it. Let's all try going out this week and, being a little bit more humble and accountable for our actions. And maybe that will help for the entitlement issue, us to spread love. And that helps with that. So
it's true.
Yep. So
very cool.
There you go. Yep.
Good job.
Yeah, it's a good topic because I think we can all relate to it because we've all been there. There's nobody that can say that they've never acted.
Well,
like
they could say
entitled.
it, but it wouldn't be the truth.
It wouldn't be the truth. Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is part of it. This is part of this thing we call life. We all have to experience the same things, not necessarily the same scenario, but we have to experience all these things. And
karma comes back to you, too. One of the great examples of this entitlement and karma coming back is the Murdaugh murders.
Oh, yeah.
Is that guy thought that he could get away with anything.
Yeah, there's generations of getting away with anything.
Yes, exactly. And that came to bite them in the butt.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they sort of crushed this whole family in a matter of years, if it was that. But literally, this family that kind of had way too much control over this town.
Yes.
And it was just amazing how somebody else didn't even have to come along and do it. They imploded on themselves.
They did. And karma will do that. Yeah. And there was a lot of money related there and a lot of drugs related there. And when you feel like you're entitled to all of these things, you know, if you haven't followed the Murdaugh murders and you're into that kind of thing, I would watch some of it. It's pretty interesting stuff. There's a Netflix special on it. It just really makes you realize, too, how people in high society just think that they can get away with anything.
Yeah.
That, comes back to bite you in the butt. Now he can enjoy jail for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he will.
So, yep.
And he's not that old. So
No, he's not.
he'll be waiting there for a long time.
Yep. I've made some predictions, too, about his living son. So if something happens to his living son,
I almost feel like something will, because they need to make sure that the bloodline stops.
Yeah. He's got a lot of
There's
issues.
some illness going on, I think, that's been handed down.
Yeah. But whatever. Anyways.
Cool.
There we go.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, before we say goodbye to everybody, you want to share your information one more time?
Yes, so you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. As I had mentioned, I have a radio show, and this week we're going to do March manifestation and talk about manifestation and stuff like that. And again, if you're interested in entering for the free reading for the 200th episode, send us an email, spiritualjoneses@gmail.com, and just say, I want to enter, and here's my name, and I'll put you in.
Cool. Very good.
And then you, sir.
Yes, once more for my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And another reminder I mentioned last week, if you're in the area of Thousand Oaks, March 18th, there is a reception for the Visions of Peace art exhibit that I have peace in, and that's from 2 to 4 in the afternoon, and there'll be drinks and snacks and lots of art on the walls that you can walk around and look at.
Yay. I like snacks.
So if you're around, that's when it is.
Fabulous.
TO Civics Arts Center, Fred Calvi Theater lobby. 2 to 4, March 18th.
Fabulous.
And that's it.
Great.
Well, we hope everybody got something out of this.
That we do.
Go out and be humble.
Please.
Love thy neighbor.
Yes.
And we hope you have a great week. Until next week.